Good morning, everyone. I see people up in the balcony, too. It's exciting. Oh, my gosh. Get myself organized here. You know, before I start, I want to say something that I know is also top of mind of everyone, and I know we have people outside wanting their voices to be heard. And I want to say that in this moment, I will share how I feel, and I'm sure all of you feel, is that I pray for peace every day. And I know it's for people very personal, very real, and I can just say how I admire the strength and the courage that our community is showing. And I know that we have more to do in this way, and I hope we can continue to do it with grace and dignity at such a troubling time. So now I give you my State of the University address, and thank you everyone for coming. It's wonderful to have you here. You know, I was thinking as I was coming over here, who's in the audience here? Or who's in our broader audience? And it's just an incredible community that you've all built, and that includes our students and our staff, our faculty. You know, you just think about it. We have leaders in every single academic field breaking new ground all the time. We've got business leaders, lawyers, we have members of the military, we have authors, we have actors, we have people who are creating jobs for millions of people, including the thing that we hold in our hand all the time, enabled by the work of our faculty. We see their work in the movies, in the screen, we hear it in commentary, we see it in the journals and the newspapers of the world. We see prize winners, from Nobel Prize winners to Oscars to everything else. Some of you are curing things that are affecting millions, if not billions of lives. And I could go on, from astronauts, we do have those, and Olympians. And the truth is, there's more firsts than you could ever count in the work that everyone does here, together with some of the most talented and dedicated educators that I've ever seen. So when you think about all that, that crucible, that wonderful world we live in, that is truly the state of our university, is the people that are here, the things they do, and the impact they have. So I'm going to try to put a few faces and numbers to that, but it never comes close to covering all the things that are taking place on this campus. When I think about how the university has steered through tumultuous periods, I think of the word grace, and I truly do see that, especially right now. I see grace in the way our deans embrace with their faculty new ways of teaching, how we've accommodated people that have had needs during COVID and other things. I see grace in the researchers, the way they collaborate on new discoveries and go out of their way to do things that are very difficult. I see grace in our staff, who are at the heart and soul of everything that we accomplish, and in our students, who are taking on the world that we're trying to build, but they're going to be at this for much longer than even we are, and I see that in all of them. I also think I see or feel gratitude. That's the second word, grace and gratitude. We feel it all. I know that you feel it. I know that it's something that I think of every morning and try to go to bed thinking about it every night. And we have so much to be grateful for in these beautiful places, these spaces, the work, the agency, the responsibility that we are so fortunate to have in our line of work. I'm grateful for the natural world, the world of California, the world of the world. I think about that a lot, and our responsibility to protect it and preserve it for next generations. And I feel really a true love of this university, and I think that I have met so many people who have talked about that, from the people who are here, but also our alumni and people that we serve, our neighbors, people that work together with all of you. And then the final thing I think about, because I always think in pictures, these days I'm thinking about a beaker. Now, I've talked about this before, but I'm thinking about a beaker in an old-fashioned way, standing on a Bunsen burner. But it's roiling and turning and bubbling, and of course, when you think about a beaker. That's where things are colliding. Energy is coming out, that kinetic energy. That's what it feels like on our campus, even when you're trying to avoid a skateboard that might be coming at you or things like that. But it's just an amazing, vibrant place. How amazingly fortunate are we to be in a place of such vibrant churn and explosion of energy. And I think that's something that we all are determined to see continue. That is what is the stuff of looking forward. So when I think about grace, gratitude, that we're a learning laboratory, and that it is such filled with energy, I see that on our campus every single day. So, you know, we of course always see it in our students. There's nothing more joyful when our students are convening, and we have so many amazing students. So I'll just give you a few of our stats. I know you know those, but it does remind you that we're a large university. We're not the largest in our undergraduate population. We're about mid-size large. Overall, close to 50,000 students, puts us as the second largest of the private universities, you know, and we have 30,000 staff, 23 schools now. We have an amazing, vibrant Trojan family. And I think these other aspects of who we are, our spirit of discovery and entrepreneurship, all of that really makes this place what the university is. So when you see that, and you think of all the people, it's not surprising that any social problem that you hear about, any big leadership advance, any new discovery, things you see like that, it's fairly likely that someone who is or has been part of the USC community has had a hand in it. And I think that's pretty exciting. You know, with the breakthroughs we're seeing, the arts in every single form. We're the only major research university that has these things. 6 highly ranked art schools, an incredible and large, vibrant arts and science school, a medical school and hospitals, an engineering school. These are all the big, considered to be the big drivers in most universities where they have 1 or 2, and an athletics program. So we are truly trying to do everything, everywhere, all at once. Carl Sagan once said, somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known. And I love thinking about that as our university. Somewhere, something incredible is probably happening right now, or maybe by 9 o'clock as we speak. And that is important because it captures our arc of purpose, and it also captures the real complexity, because to keep that going, keep it going well, making it a place where people can thrive, is really the responsibility and goal of our university. Now, I know the world can often feel like this, and I try pretty hard not to see it that way myself, but we know that, and if you start doom scrolling on the internet, you're going to go right into those waves. But there is a lot of churn. It does affect everyone that we deal with, including all of us. And so one of our also responsibilities is to create some joy out of that chaos. We need to be able to see the other side of that world, finding joy in chaos and helping our students sort through that, deal with these complicated issues, and helping ourselves deal with that, because that's what the greatest higher education research institutions in the world must do. And I think we do a pretty good job of it. And I always know that we're trying even more to do it well. Now, I think that optimists often come to work in universities, but I think we work quite well together, even with those that are always pointing out the things that are going to be difficult. You need that push and pull between both, because that's where you really find your greatest work. And I've been seeing that a lot, especially when we go through big societal changes. And of course, we have an election coming up that will likely be very contested. You know, so this is all happening for us, and it's going to be happening for all of you in your classrooms. And one thing I want to say is that I'm just in awe of how well people have been really dealing with that, and I just want to commend people for that. Now, we have an amazing mission. I'm not going to make you read every word, and I know some people think the mission statement is too long. It's a long one, but it's really a beautiful one. So at some point, I think it's worth it to remember it, because it carries in it real goals. They're aspirations that I actually think about all the time. I know many of you do. And it was one of the first to say things like we're pluralistic, we're entrepreneurial, we're global. Those are very important core values. It says that we serve the public interest at every step. Remember, you're a private university, but that does not mean you do not serve the public interest. And sometimes we can even do it faster and more thoroughly than our colleagues at public universities can do. We also talk about a place where all points of view are accepted and respected. And we know that that is a tough thing to always maintain, but our university is like the public square. And in fact, we have wonderful programs in different schools talking about the public square, trying to teach our students how to come together over difference. And I think that's really important. You know, I think it's my job, I think it's the provost's job, I think it's the dean's jobs in some way, is that we need to hold the center. We need to keep the university a place where all of you can say and debate and talk about the things that really matter to you. And that can be a struggle, but I think that the university's been, or all of you have been doing an excellent job in that way, and I think we will continue to be trying to do that, to go the extra mile, to keep this a place where people can feel comfortable coming on campus, and I know that's often something that's difficult. It's a place where our doors are open. We talk about a contemporary vision, where we are changing and modifying our vision all the time, and that's because you need to be modern. Just think, it was only a year ago that ChatGPT suddenly came out, and now every single person thinks every single profession is going to be changed tomorrow, which is a little faster than it's probably really happening. But when things come at us like that, we need to be able to respond to them quickly. Now, the state of the university is strong. I'm going to cover just a few things, but admissions, I think you all know, is a measure of how the world views us, and the numbers just keep going up and up and up. And we've been seeing this, and our amazing admissions group does a fantastic job processing these admissions, and we have amazing student body that comes from this. You can just see these international, we've got a lot of LAUSD high schools. They're very smart. These are very talented students, first gen. Our admit rate continues to go down, and they come from around the world. So it's I think we're quite proud of it, and we've been seeing a lot of, that's our undergraduate admissions. I can't give you all the numbers for the graduate schools, but they're also doing quite well. We have a lot of students still applying and coming and being a part of our world. It's a pretty staggering set of statistics because you all know there's a demographic crunch in America right now, fewer students of the age to come to college. We're not one of the universities that needs to be forecasting a reduction in our student enrollment. And more importantly, we are one of the leading universities. The other two that really do it are University of California universities that take students from transfer students from community colleges. I think I've talked about it. You all know I'm a community college kid that got her education because of that, being able to leap from that to a great university. And we are doing that. That is going to be part of the future of getting more and more students to get education in America. And I think that's something we should be so proud of, and those students are amazing that join us. So this is one part of what we're dealing with is, do we have great students? And we continue to have them. And when they're here, we give them a pretty amazing environment. And we've been working a lot on the student spaces. Winston Churchill once said, we shape our buildings, but thereafter they shape us. And we have some amazing spaces. We've been putting in a lot of new spaces for our students. I know you've probably seen some of that, completely redoing the tutor center and all the student spaces, adding first gen, adding transfer students, building out spaces for our veterans. I mean, it's made a huge difference. And so I have a little clip of our wonderful VP for our students, Monique Allard, talking about a little bit about the change in numbers that we've just seen once we made the renovations to the student center. So I'll put that little video clip on.
We've essentially tripled the square footage for all of our cultural and resource centers, and you can see the numbers have expanded enormously in terms of how many people come through every day. We do a lot of work measuring student belonging, measuring the impact of our interventions, measuring the impact of environment and space. We know from our Student Wellbeing Index survey that there are specific populations where we can do a little bit more to enhance their belonging. So we use our data to help us channel and invest our time and energy and resources in enhancing belonging in every population of student.
With the student spaces, one thing just to know is I was talking to the people that were running it, because we made them larger. We tripled the space for our Latinx population. We tripled it for APAS. These were tiny little places. When I went in there, we used to kid around and say, when you had a crowd, you couldn't even raise your hand to say, fight on, because everybody was so crowded in their boxes. It was really not living up to what we needed. We needed more space, put in that big new first gen and transfer student, basically to help what our students really needed. And they show up. It's an amazing staff in our student affairs that run these fabulous centers. And I know a lot of faculty go there too, but that staff is so phenomenal. And I think they said, looking for Monique here, but you know that the numbers just visiting the African American lounge had gone from something like 900 or 1,000 over a year to 9,000 visits in a year. So it makes a difference to have great space, and it's something that we're so grateful for. We also built the Sustainability Hub, which I love. It's right in the same building. Also, all the doors many of the doors are open. The students said they didn't want to be siloed in the cultural center. They wanted to move back and forth. So it's been remodeled. And the Sustainability Center is also there. We're seeing much more movement back and forth between these groups than we ever used to see because of the proximity and the ease of really mixing. So this is just a picture when we were opening that Sustainability Hub. That has been amazing too. It's having such visit. There have been more than 130 visits in there. People run classes in there. They've got all these convening spaces, and it's fabulous. And I wanted to have you hear from one of our amazing students, JJ Flores, a junior studying international relations, standing right next to David Wright in the picture. And I loved the remarks that JJ gave at the opening of the hub. So that's what we're going to hear for a second here now.
I'm grateful for the work by the students, staff, and faculty of the Sustainability Hub Task Force in envisioning this Sustainability Hub. In the face of the climate crisis, what I know will be a beacon of community, hope, and inspiration. A spirit I hope this Sustainability Hub will instill in every person who walks through its doors. For years, we have all been told about the urgency of the climate crisis, and as the years have passed, a troubling trend has emerged. For many of the people not at this event, the lack of knowledge on how to take action is beginning to turn into apathy. So first, let's acknowledge that climate change is not a planet problem, it's a people problem. I want you to challenge yourself to become the climate ambassador for your network. The last few years have left most of us rethinking our identities, taking a look in the mirror and asking, who do I want to be? For students, what do I want to do? This is the perfect time to help your network explore and dive into climate. All it takes is one moment, one conversation, one event to turn apathy into the audacity to believe that a better alternative is possible. I hope for you all and for all the people you're about to go talk to, when you need to find that spark, you can find it here at the Sustainability Hub.
It's wonderful. JJ's incredible. We've been doing other remodelings. Just quick update on some of the things that we've been doing in the, some of you have gone to the Galen Center. Was anyone at that game last night? Woo, rock the house. 30 years since the women have been to the Sweet 16. And I have to say, when I first came here, women's basketball was in my sight, and I am so excited to see it. Anyway, this place is beautiful. It's the home to 4 teams, women's and men's basketball, women and men volleyball. I mean, the refresh is so great. I can't just tell you how wonderful it is. All the students love it. And you know, you need to really make it a place where they want to come and the crowds. And so now we're off to Portland, and we have a really big week ahead in this area, but it's really going to be fantastic. And then later this week, we're also going, I think it's this week or maybe next week, we're doing the ribbon cutting to celebrate the new home for USC School of Dramatic Arts. So I know a lot of people are here. I don't have a video of that because we haven't had the event yet, but it's just amazing, and that incredible arts corridor across 34th Street is just going to continue to grow and blossom, and we all know that arts corridors are huge draws for a community. Just walk there during the day and you really see it. So great architecture. I'm speaking to our new Dean of the Architecture School, shapes us for the better, as of course does great culture. And with respect to culture, in some ways, I think our students have really answered the call. We began the whole culture journey 5 years ago, and I applaud all of you for being so important to it, engaging thousands and thousands of students, faculty, and staff, and trying to really work on our unifying values. And I've talked about those before. But the students also, and this is really critical, they wanted to create their own first ever student commitment. Now, a student-driven student commitment is much more likely to succeed than anything that comes from the president or from their faculty, really. This is what they believe in. They worked with people. They created this wonderful call, and in making it, they thought a lot about what it takes to build and strengthen our culture. And I think it's something that really we need to come back to. The students also are trained in it every year. And I think we need to think about our own faculty and staff culture in the same way the students did. Again, as we go through the unifying values, we've got a chance to look at that and to update it and continue to modernize our thoughts there. So that's something we're working on right now. And I think because of these changes in culture, I'll talk about this in a minute, but I think we did things in 2 or 3 years, especially affecting the way we run things, the way we process what we do, that I thought originally could have taken 6 to 10 years. So when you're working together, you can accomplish things much more rapidly, even in the midst of lots of chaos, than you ever can if we're just working in our own individual silos. So I just want to thank our students for that, and also all the people that work on the Culture Commission. It's really important that we continue to do that work. We also put in place, last thing I'm going to say about the students here, is that this was just put in place, a whole new advising system for USC. And I know a lot of you might be working on it, but it's having a magical effect on students. There's nothing worse for them in their minds than not knowing what to do when they're trying to figure out their classes, where they stand towards their progress. It can really make things difficult for them, and I always feel sad at the end of someone's graduation. They say, oh, if I'd only known, I could have done this. Now, of course, we can never expose them to everything, but Advise USC is a wonderful platform that is really helping our students, and I'm told really helping the student-faculty connectedness. And they're taking advantage of it. They're also taking great advantage of all the new things that we've been doing in the Student Career Center. There have been more than 25 events already this year, 16,000 students participating in them. So this is important because we have them now, but we also are trying to help them launch them into their next big adventure. Our graduate students are also thriving, as I said. They have been really, our numbers are up, their success is very strong, and so I think we are very, very fortunate in our students. We also have wonderful new leaders. It gives me great pleasure to say that we still, every year, we bring in new people, and they're amazing. I know you all know Andrew Guzman, our new provost, but you're actually new, although he's not allowed to say that anymore. And Andrew, I'm so happy you're not wearing a tie. We try to dress down a little. You all know Andrew. He's in international laws and economics. He was the former dean of Gould, and of course, I'll mention him. We just welcomed the new dean of Gould, and he began in July, and it has just been such a pleasure. We all are having so much fun working with Andrew and really appreciate him. He's really bringing a very strong sense of compassion and together with getting things done. And I think that's really important in a provost. So thank you so much, Andrew. Fernita Tolson was just named as the new dean of the Gould School of Law. So I think many of you know Fernita. There she is. Melissa Just is our new dean of the USC Libraries. Is Melissa here? Gaurav Sukhatme is the inaugural director, which is / dean of the new School of Advanced Computing. And we just welcomed Brett Steele, the new dean of the School of Architecture. And just to shout out, Willow was probably the person clapping the most for having been dual dean for a long time. We also brought in a new athletic director, Jen Cohen. She's off in a meeting with the 100 women most influential in sports right now in DC. Really important. She's fantastic. Eric Brink was elevated to be the new CEO, SVP for Finance and CFO. We brought on board Joel Curran as the SVP and Chief Communications Officer. And Monique was promoted to be the new important role of VP for Student Life. Most recently, I brought on Sri Narayan to be the inaugural Vice President, Presidential Initiatives. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but I call him the disruptor. He's supposed to run around and help us disrupt so we can make things work better. Sounds funny, break it down, build it back up, but he's doing a fantastic. This is another part of the dream team, and I'm so excited to have them all here. And lucky for me, they're already deep in work, and it doesn't even feel like they're brand new, but it feels like the team just gets stronger all the time. Now, we have amazing professors. This year, we appointed 3 new university professors, many of your colleagues, and you can see them all up there. And we added 4 distinguished professors from schools across both of our campuses. You know, I'm going to just do a couple people because I think it's fun to highlight people just that are making a big splash somewhere that you might not know. I could go through thousands, but I think it's fun to share. So someone that you may not all know is Kate Crawford. She's a research professor of communication at Annenberg, and you might have seen she was named to Time's 100 list of the most influential people for her work in AI. So every time you read and hear about that, you might be seeing something about Kate. This is Dr. Marlena Fazo. She is amazing. She's in KSOM. She's a clinical assistant professor. She was just named one of Time's 12 Women of the Year, and I got to go to that event with her. Oh, wow, what an amazing event that was. But she's phenomenal. She discovered the gene behind HG, which is a condition leading to debilitating nausea in morning sickness. In pregnancies. This could affect billions of women around the world. And it's not surprising that it's a woman doctor that studied it. I'm not kidding. It's so amazing. Jeffrey Cole. I know you probably, a lot of you know Jeffrey. He's an Annenberg research professor who also directs the Center for the Digital Future, and he just received an award called the Ellis Island Medal of Honor last summer for his pioneering work in digital strategies used for government organizations and corporations. They said his leadership has shaped not only internet culture, but is paving the way towards developing best practices. So congratulations to Jeffrey. I love this one. At Iovine, this is some work by Ryan. At Iovine and Young, they're always helping students come up with new discoveries. It's an amazing, vibrant place. And they're incubating new businesses, and one of them is a startup called Mira, and it was just purchased by Apple last year, and it's a core technology of Vision Pro. Now, I don't know when we're going to start wearing those all the time, but I keep hearing it's coming. But if you see anyone walking around the village with this headgear, you will know a Trojan created that visionary software. And finally, I really want to come back and mention street medicine. I mention it frequently because I think it's one of the more beautiful programs I've ever seen. It is so important, and we do street medicine, we do dental clinics, we do clinics of every sort in every neighborhood of LA, where we take the medicine and the care and all the work right out onto the streets and where people are. And it's a model really for the country. Recently received more state aid, but it's really something that is built on the love and compassion of the people that are working on that project. And they even work together with people, the accountants in Leventhal, to also help people when they get off the streets to get the skills they might need, the medical care they might need when they are moved into homes. And Leventhal gives them financial literacy training. So again, applause and kudos to everyone for that compassionate work. I could go on and on about the arts, the music, all the things that we're seeing, but I think that gives you a little bit of a flavor. And the research is strong, and it's not just the monetary research, all the other research and service we do. We're in the $1 billion club. That's something that really reflects the breadth and the strength. A lot of research, growing amount of corporate, but also foundation-supported research. We've got a lot of programs that are in the top 10 for research. And in the budget this year, research looks flat again, but at least it's not going down. I'm looking on the glass half full there. Student aid is flat, but not going down. These are things that right now we look at every single day. And our faculty and staff continue to get increasing portions of that major resource because the work is so good and so strong. So I think it's something we can feel very excited about. Our expenditures went up 11% just this year. I think when I came in about 2019, we're up about 35 to 40% in our research, and that's been a big goal. We want to double it, but we probably need some more lab space. We want to get a little bit more space so we can bring in some more people to get to that. So that's something really exciting for us. And, people say all sorts of wonderful things about it all the time, and I love just keeping track of them because it always makes me feel very good. But one of the most important things about it is it's often done in collaboration. Our faculty and our graduate students, our postdocs, they all work together in the biggest, most important projects. And those are the ones that you tend to see really growing, are those collaborative projects. And that doesn't happen if faculty don't want to work across boundaries. It doesn't happen if deans aren't really working hard to make those boundaries lower and lower, and if the central administration doesn't continue to try to do its best to both fuel them and make it run more smoothly. So I think that's top of mind for all of us. When you think of the work that happens also in the social sciences and the art, it doesn't necessarily count in as dollars. Last year, faculty submitted more than 3,300 proposals valuing it at over $4 billion, and we're very successful in getting those, one of the most successful of all the universities in the country. But we have so much more that also takes place. Next year, I'm trying to tell you how many books and papers came out at the same time, but I couldn't get that number in time for this talk. But, you know, we've got amazing faculty like Alexander Robinson, who's at the USC School of Architecture, and he works in landscape architecture, fluid mechanics, augmented reality, and I love it because he's really working actively on the LA River Channel. And what we can do to really help improve that channel affects every community along all 25 miles of that channel. I went out with some students who were filming there just a few months ago and walked the LA River, but I did not walk 25 miles. But I walked a significant chunk of it, and it's really worth doing sometime if you ever have an opportunity. But they're out there collaborating, and every bit of that collaboration includes community members. Another amazing example is, of course, Professor Brandisha Tynes, who at our Rasir School of Education, she's just a phenomenal researcher and innovator. She just has an NIH grant for her transformative work. She's building one of the nation's first, the nation's first digital literacy and mental health platform for K through 12 students. Again, talk about big impact. And here's my last example, again, of a collaboration. All of these are. And this is a collaboration to fight cancer that a number of our faculty are engaged in. 3 researchers from different disciplines came together at USC's Women Conference earlier this month and talked about this work. Dornsive's Peter Kuhn, KSAM's Jorge Nieva, and Viterbi's Dr. Asad Obiari. And they are working together, I love this, to get early detection for breast cancer through a simple blood test. It's called the PINK test. And by the way, that doesn't just affect 50% of the population. Breast cancer is also present in men. And they have a wonderful mantra. It says, transformative discoveries are a team sport. So that's a good one for USC. Now, our finances are strong too. We've been really working hard on this. And I think it's something that you're all aware of all the time. Inflation's been pretty high. We have had unprecedented challenges to our budget. You all know it's close to $3 billion that we had to pay out in the last 4 years for legal legacy issues, for COVID, non-reimbursed COVID expenses. And most recently, there's a big change in the insurance industry. They're not paying all their bills. They're making really big differences in the way they do things. And so these challenges are real. A university that has $3 billion sitting in reserves, which is what we could have been, would be able to do a lot of things. We don't have that right now. So we're in the process every single day, without sacrificing student aid, faculty and staff salaries, of trying to rebuild that reserve. And right now, the main way I think any individuals would see that play out is that we ask you to be very efficient and really do look for that, and all the deans are working hard at that. And we also have to potentially slow some projects. So we've got a lot of projects, a lot of building projects going on, but we can't start building more until we have the reserves to help cover them. So it may be a delay of a year or two and really active work to continue to raise money. But this is something that's really important for us. And our philanthropy is strong. Our people continue to be very, very generous. We took out a bond to help us through it. But, you know, $3 billion does not get replaced in a moment. So that's what we're really working hard on doing, and I see real progress on it every year. It's something, though, that when we think about that, what I'm particularly proud of is that we did handle all these things. That was partly because of pre-planning by the university to build some of those reserves. I mean, you're reading in the paper now about a lot of universities that have huge financial problems. It is a challenging time, and many of them don't have the reserves or don't have the confidence with their management and their revenues that they can get through that. That is not our situation at all. It's just that it will take time and real diligence for us to do it well. We've also continued throughout to invest in not just our moonshots, but in the strategic plans of all 23 schools. So I'm just going to give a quick update on these because I talk about them a lot. Some of them, Competes began 4 years ago. We launched Frontiers of Computing 2 years ago, Health Sciences 3 years ago. We're still doing Sustainable Futures and a new one in the arts. So they come out all the time, a lot of investment. They come from the work of so many of you. So just a bit of an update on Frontiers of Computing. You know, we're more than halfway towards our $1 billion goal there. I actually think we're going to be spending a lot more on computation, AI, digital futures. But this is a really growing, bustling area. Great research, great philanthropy, great work of people, building centers. We just launched the new school under Gaurav, and we've started doing work on the new Silicon Beach campus. So there's a lot of excitement there. And I thought I'd just let you hear a few words from Gaurav, who's running the new School of Computing. It's a school of advanced computing within the Viterbi School, which is a great model for building schools without building out too much extra infrastructure. They can work together on the infrastructure. I think we might only hire 3 people in the administration of that entire school because it's really putting the money towards the people to do the programs because they can work together with Viterbi. It's amazing how successful that might be. So I'll let you, hear from Gaurav.
The USC School of Advanced Computing has an ambitious agenda. We seek to build a community of scholars dedicated to expanding the frontiers of computing, not only in computer science or electrical engineering and other engineering disciplines, but in all areas that our university operates in. And in this endeavor, we will build on USC's long-standing strengths and well-acknowledged strengths across all our schools. Our work will be firmly rooted in solving important societal problems that address issues of sustainability, issues of global health, issues of governance in society, and so many others. It will be home to innovative new programs in computing to ensure that every USC student learns about explosive modern advances in machine learning and artificial intelligence, while developing a grounding in the fundamentals of computing that underpin these technologies and their applications.
We're working on the health sciences. I'm not going to review all this with you. You've seen this before, working hard to build it out, naming new programs, and working hard on getting even the permits to build the new health science. That's another issue just to mention. It's hard to get things permitted in Los Angeles. Is that surprising anybody? It sometimes takes years. So we're working on all that. These things are moving forward. We've been working, as you heard me say, about the sustainable urban futures, and a lot of work going on there. We got our new gold rating. The faculty and students and staff on the committee have so many exciting things going forward, and we're still working on being climate neutral by 2025. So that's a big push for us, and I think we'll get there, but of course it has carbon offsets. It's going to take us a while to get there without carbon offsets. I think to go a little bit quicker, I'm going to skip over, we just have amazing faculty who are working on this. Jesse and Bistra are just examples of faculty members who are doing great work in the area of sustainability. We also are working on athletics. Again, you've seen this. The biggest thing is the move to the Big Ten. That makes a difference financially for us of possibly $50 to $70 million annually in a single year. That starts paying for what it costs. And I think we've worked really hard to make sure that the impacts on students with travel are minimized. In some ways, they may actually be better. We're thinking about carbon offsets for the travel. We haven't figured that out yet, but it's something we know is really important. But I have to tell you, whatever I tell you about athletics today could be different tomorrow. It's changing so quickly. But I'm on one of the most important committees, as is Jen, so we have people in the right place to try to be a part of it. And we have amazing emerging stars. I just put up Juju's picture. She's from Watts. She grew up in LA. She's so excited to be here. A round of applause for her. She's phenomenal. This is one I really want to mention. This has to do with salary, compensation, and financial aid. We continue to be, of the two things we have not affected with the budget is eliminating financial aid. It grows, and the commitment we made 3 years ago to have that 5-year plan to increase compensation has stayed on our books no matter what else happens. Now realize with unions and all the other things going on, and as we evaluate the pressures each year, we may need even more money to meet the goals and the needs that we have. So I just want you to know this is something we are deeply committed to. And we've made real progress. We've made progress in the lower income categories. It's a goal of ours to have everyone that's full-time here reach above $75,000 a year. You know, I think that's something we're really working on. We're ahead in some of these markets. This year we reached parity with our top group on assistant and associate professors, still working on fulls. So there's a lot going on, big additions to our RTPC faculty, our graduate students, and our postdocs. So this one's really important for us. And we want to raise $1 billion for student scholarships. We're about 640 towards this year, but that we give out each year. We have to raise a lot more money for it. And we have an emerging moonshot that I'd say in the arts that I just put out there, and this is one that's just in the process of growing under the new vice provost for the arts and all the art schools, but really the idea is to enhance the arts everywhere. And we have such amazing schools, and their ideas of things that they can do even better in collaboration is so exciting for all of us. And you all know the amazing success of our faculty. You know, you see them, you read about them. Probably a lot of you know about the work of Ludwig, which he's from the Thornton School. It's an amazing story for him, but he just got the Best Original Score Oscar for Oppenheimer, and that's his second victory. And he graduated from Thornton, and he's maybe or one of the youngest composers to ever receive this award. When he took his first Oscar for Black Panther in 2019. I know many of you know Coleman Domingo. He's been participating in programming for our School of Dramatic Arts, and he was nominated when he played the political activist Bayard Rustin in the amazing movie Rustin. And of course, I want to mention Percival Everett, who is a distinguished professor of English at Dornsife and an amazing award-winning author. I think you all know, it's been in the news a lot, that his book, Erasure, was the basis for the Best Picture nominee American Fiction, which was really a favorite of mine. And the script based on his book won the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. So pretty exciting. And we also have America Ferreira, who is a graduate, not from the drama school, but in international relations in Dornsife, who just received the first multi-hyphenate award from the School of Dramatic Arts. She's amazing, and again, another example of one of our phenomenal alums. So I want to spend about 5 minutes just talking about what's up. Okay, I showed you this before, and all those things in red are the ones I consider particularly pertinent here. Not every school has the same issues. We're much more fortunate than many of our colleagues at many other universities, in part because of politics in our state give us different issues than they do in other states, in many other ways, also because we're prepared for it. But I think, you know, the global conflict, war, academic freedom, freedom of speech, I don't think we're in any doubt about academic freedom or freedom of speech here. But the conflict, the political and the polarization at campuses does affect all of us. We're not going back on DEIB. We don't have any legislators trying to tell us to do that. We follow the law, and we have the most diverse research university in America. So I think we do things right there, and we will continue to do them. Workforce, unions, more money. I mean, I do really think that that's one of the issues is how can people be compensated in higher ed? We'll see more of that. And there's changes in student preferences, areas of study, things like that, that will all be a part. But where the government gets involved is when they try to make laws to regulate it. And you're seeing it, you're reading it all the time. You know, you're seeing changes in admissions, regulating that, taking away affirmative action, you know, legacy, that's the next one people are going for, affordability, all these areas, there are laws in Sacramento and in DC almost every week. We've got amazing teams working on them and staying ahead. These are the areas I think we have the most immediate concerns and needs, in particular, affordability, as long as we continue to be able to be eligible for federal grants, and we aren't doing anything that makes me think we would not be. We follow this very, very well. But graduate debt is the biggest issue feds are taking on, and we're working really hard on that in our own schools. That's theirs. Athletic regulation, I could be here for the next week talking about that. And also other things like taxing endowments. That is not something that happens really on our endowment, because in spite of it being close to $8 billion, they look at it on a per capita basis. If you were to look at that, and we're not large at all, we're about 130th on a per capita basis. So this isn't our issue right now, even though you might be reading about it. In addition, we take a lot of action to get ahead of that work. So we've been working hard to keep this to be a destination of choice. That's what I think you do all the time. We try to do things to really get ahead of financial pressures. We took action with respect to 2U, replacing external providers for online education with our own teams just in the last year. That's a big effort. Working on affordability, it's the thing I worked on since the day I walked in. I'll be talking and working on affordability on the day I leave. It's really critically important. Our moonshots keep us ahead in what are arguably the most important areas in higher education right now. And we're working on our national, international competitiveness. Now, I know that we all just put in the new SC in DC building. And I think it's really important, and next time we'll give you a lot more to talk about that. But that has really been going forward. We got a wonderful gift from one of our trustee members, Leonard Schaefer, to set up the Schaefer Center there. People are filling it. We have more activities going there almost than in Bovard Hall. It's really exciting. And it is keeping us on the page in all that DC legislation. This is so important. I'm not going to show the video of that, but I do think it's important to realize we're ahead there. And we have the most beautiful building of all. So I hope as you work with Andrew and others about things you might like to do there, you'll find yourself going and visiting. I think it's a wonderful way for us to have that high visibility across the nation. The other one I wanted to mention is that USC has been ahead, being an international university for years. One of the very first ones back in the 30s to start going into Asia. And we have wonderful, incredible history with Asian partners. We just made a big push into India. I think it's wonderful. I had an amazing visit there with 22 of our senior leaders and deans, all in 3 different cities in India, and very excited about all the things that future will be bringing to us. And it was especially good to be there when the ambassador is former Mayor Eric Garcetti. So very helpful for SC in DC. So I'm going to skip those 2 videos and kind of want to get to closing with a little bit of optimism for you, because I think you should feel optimistic. You always read that everybody hates universities, but that is absolutely not true. You all know that there is bias in the way the question is asked. There is also bias in the moment in which that question is asked. And yet, when you go out and you look at people still want to send their students, all the data still show that students that get college degrees are actually doing better financially in many ways. And then, in particular, when you ask them things about medicine, about research, about discovery, about building innovation, they all think American universities are the best in the world. So it's important to remember that the complications do not encapsulate even the way people think and feel about the university. So this just shows you some data that go along with that. But I think it's important for all of us to really see that and think as we go forward. So, you know, we've gotten where we were, being big, fast, connected, and it's my real belief that the world needs places like USC even more than ever. And I'll end as I started by just talking about all of you in this room, all the students that you teach, all the communities that you work with. Our size and our scale give us immense impact. We're doing so much good for the world, and we have to continue to keep that thrust going forward. And, you know, as complicated as the world is, we always know that that's when we're needed most. So, namaste to all of you. That really meant a lot to me when I went to India and started thinking about its origins. My heart to yours. Thank you. Fight on. It has been an amazing week. Just yesterday, we honored survivors of the Shoah after 30 years of the Shoah Foundation. One of the more moving moments I will have spent, right up there with the Nisei graduates and some of the other things that I've seen, but there were more than 30 survivors came, and we were able to honor them with the university medallion, because what better great work is to continue to offer your stories so that the world can continue to try to find a better way forward. So, you know, I think that was a beautiful moment coming out at a moment of such turmoil. It's aware of the different things that we see. So I think I'm going to answer a quick couple questions that have come in. Someone asked, are we constructing new university housing? No. Yes, I wish we were. Right now, we couldn't get that through if we tried to get that through. Proximity to the campus is really hard. It's actually interesting. In local, many private owners have gone through. There's a lot of new housing actually all around the UPC campus, and so that may cover a lot of it. What we're trying to do is give more programming in campus that we don't own, so that we can be part of it, provide a secure system for people around the campus and do things there. But right now, no, although we do have several areas on campus where old housing was taken down, that we could consider that. And might even be considering it for graduate students and faculty housing. Those may be our most pressing ones right now, but it's not on the immediate docket. Oh, last year I recommended lessons of chemistry. Oh my gosh, do you? I have a recommendation for you this year. Well, I'll tell you, the book I just started reading is The Women by Kristen Hanna. And I don't know if anyone has read it, but it seems really wonderful. It's about women in the military, and it seems to be phenomenal. I won't tell you all the other things on this book list. We just got the STARS Gold Sustainability 1 year ahead. You know, I think this is really important. We all know, you know, when I came here, this was not being talked about all the time, but that was one of those most beautiful examples with one of the great things of this platform. I start talking about it, and suddenly, there are thousands of people working on it here. People care about it more than anything else. It just wasn't getting its voice. So the progress being made is just that we lit a match and people are coming together and really making a difference. We need to push for it next. I think our own campus will be very green. I think some of the work that Dornsife and other faculty and others are doing in the local community is critical. Faculty want to have a class that all students take on sustainability. There are things that are going to be coming to you to really enter in, but we have more than 200 classes being taught in sustainability, and I've gone in on several of them and spoken to students, and whether this is our personal issue, it is their issue. Huge, important issue, so I see a lot. Milestones that we got to get that 2025. I really think the curricular issues are important. I'd love to raise many hundreds of millions of dollars to support it. That's in my mind, because I do think we need new faculty lines and other things to really make this work. Also, every single building we build is coming in at the highest level of sustainability, but we'd like to add a lot more solar panels and things like that. One of our donors just gave us money for another building to add solar panels, so there is no shortage of things of every sort that we could do there. And I worry that that's going to fall off the national consciousness, and we can't let that happen. It's so important. Is that the last question? Okay, whoa, and I'm just 3 minutes over. And I know that you all have lots of things to do. So again, gratitude. I thank you all for your grace and your amazing energy. Thank you.